Did you get that fixed?
Yep, you're going.
All right. So again, so if your raise coming in perpendicular to the building is obstructed, then we can come in parallel, as you can see here, and basically raise it the other way, which we're going to do today. We're going to raise with the two-man carry. Off the beam, we're going to raise perpendicular to the building, and then the flat raise we're going to do parallel to the building. We'll get into that as we go over the skill sheets later on. All ladders will conduct electricity, especially when wet, regardless of their construction material type. All right. All right, so the fly section on extension ladders. How many people have heard that they can only operate with the fly out on a metal extension ladder? No? Okay, it's been going around. That's the only way to operate. According to the book right here, right now, it can go either way, and it's based on the manufacturer and the material of that ladder. So in this example, it's saying that metal ladders, the fly goes out, and wood ladders, the fly goes in. All right, so that is very specific to the manufacturer of the ladder. So placement is based on ladder design, construction material, and fly position at which manufacturers' tests show it to be the strongest. Okay, failure to follow this recommendation could void ladder's warranty if failure or damage occurs. Modern metal and fiberglass ladders are designed to be used with the fly out, according to this book. Okay. Wooden ladders are designed with rungs mounted at the top truss rail, are intended to be used with the fly in. We're going to consult with department SOPs for the ladder manufacturer to determine correct fly position. All right. Some departments have different ladders that are designed to go fly in and fly out. All right. So is that clear as mud to everyone? Perfect. All right. With our duo safety ladders, we're good to do either, according to my old training captain. All right. Securing the halyard. Once an extension ladder is resting against the structure and before it is climbed, the excess halyard rope should be tied off to prevent anyone from being tangled in it while ascending or descending the ladder. Some halyards are closed off, and those are already tied off. All right. So ours are closed, but we're still going to tie off any excess today with a clove hitch, just to make sure that there's not a whole bunch of halyard out there for anybody to get tangled up in. All right. How can you avoid electrical hazards when raising a ladder? Stay 10 feet away, okay?
Or 3 meters.
We also might need to offset and change our direction or our approach, right?
Modified raise.
Correct, modified raise, thank you. All right, how should the fly of metal or fiberglass extension ladders be positioned?
On the outside.
We're gonna do fly out. All right, are there any questions about learning objective 2? The safe practice for using ladders. No questions? All right, we're going to push along and do learning objective 3. Describe the process for carrying ladders. All right, firefighters must safely and quickly carry ground ladders from apparatus to where they are being used. All right, removing ladders from an apparatus, depending on its whether it's a pumper or an aerial, may change how many firefighters are required to carry or maneuver that ladder. There are different types of apparatus and means of mounting it. So typically the IC or your supervisor will tell you which ladder they want used and where they want it used, but it's also incumbent upon us, and in the absence of orders, to be able to make that decision ourselves and assess that situation. With time and experience, you should be able to look and see where the ladder is needed and what ladder would be needed to accomplish that task. Alright, selecting ladder to reach specific point requires the ability to judge distance depending on the height of the foundation or other factors, and this is going to depend on whether it's residential or commercial. So the average story height for a residential building is 10 feet, and the average story height for a commercial building is 12 feet. So that's one thing that we can look at and know and able, in order to be able to judge distance. Right? Another thing that we can look at is from the foundation to the windowsill. For a residential structure, it's 3 feet, and for a commercial structure, it's 4 feet. So if we can look from window to window and know that there's 10 feet from the base of this window to the base of this window in a residential structure, plus the 3 feet that's below that, we know we need to overcome at least 13 feet. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
In a commercial building, it would be 12 and 4. So if we're going up from window to window, that would be 24 plus our initial 4 feet would be 28 feet that we need to overcome. Make sense? All right. The designated length, measurement of total length of single section ladder and maximum extended length of the extension ladder. So if a 24-foot ladder is 24 feet, it is actually about 14 feet for a bed section and 14 feet for a fly section, but fully extended where they overlap takes up some of that meat. So it's not 28 feet, it's 24 feet. Does that make sense to everybody? So when they say the actual length or designated length of a ladder, it is what its maximum working length can be. All right, it is not the ladder's reach, it is what is fully extended with the overlap. All right, because ladders are set at angles of approximately 75 degrees for climbing, they reach less than their designated length. All right, single roof and folding ladders meet NFPA 1931 are required to have measured lengths equal to their designated length. Extension ladders' maximum extended length may be as much as 6 inches less than the designated length. Once you understand the designated length, you should be able to select the correct ladder lengths for various ladder placement. Right? Extending a ladder to a minimum of 3 to 5 rungs beyond the roof, if you're going to the roof of a building, then you're going to allow 3 to 5 rungs so that you can step on and off that ladder. All right? If you're going to be placing a window, your ladder in a window for ventilation, you're going to place that upwind side to gain access to a window for ventilation. And then if you're placing a ladder for rescue, you're going to place that just at the tips, just at the windowsill. Again, placing the tip of the ladder just below the windowsill when performing rescue from a window. All right, so you guys look at the pictures here. They've got the 4th rung right at the beginning of the roof. That's giving them 3 rungs to step off. All right, we've got the ladder at the very top of the window for ventilation, but upwind of it. And then for rescue, the tips will be centered just below the windowsill. Are there any questions about ladder placement based on the task? Any question, Chad?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So basically, this says that if your parapet wall above your roof is more than 6 feet, you might need another ladder to go back down it. So you might need one ladder to go up to the top of that parapet wall and another ladder to come down on the other side of it. All right, so you got a whole bunch of maximum heights for ladders. Typically, until you get to the really high numbers over 35 foot, you're losing 1 foot of reach. That makes sense to everybody? So if you got a 14-foot rough ladder, your reach is roughly 13 feet. And then you're basically losing 1 foot until you get up over 40-foot ladders, which is not really applicable to us today because we don't have anything over a 35-foot ladder. How can you determine the approximate size ground ladder for use for a situation? Anybody tell me how you can make an estimate of what size ladder you need?
Measuring the distance between the windows.
Yeah.
So
So
based on residential and commercial structures,
correct.
a residence is 3 foot and commercial is 4 foot difference in the height of the window.
Very good. So, like Zach just said, sorry.
And 10 and 12.
All right. So, like Zach just said, we can look and know if it's a residential and commercial structure from the ground to the windowsill is 3 or 4 feet respectively, and then each floor is 10 or 12 feet respectively. And then we know how high we need to go and choose our ladder appropriately. All right, removing ladders from the apparatus. All right, again, ground ladders are mounted differently depending on the type of apparatus, whether it's a pumper, aerial, quint, or we have a specialized apparatus like a rescue. All right, so we've got ladder compartments, we've got ladder racks, and then stored above or in the apparatus. All right, so when using ground ladders mounted on an apparatus, we must know the types, lengths, and the location of those ladders. So you know when to go, where to get the appropriate ladder. All right. How one nested ladder can be removed, leaving the other securely in place. So when we grab one off, we don't want to put another tool loose that could fall and injure someone. All right. You also want to know which end is in or out, the tips or spurs. All right, and how they're mounted so that you can break them loose and get them into service efficiently and safely. All right, so many departments mark where they want those rungs secured, so when you're replacing that ladder back into the ladder rack, you know exactly where it gets centered on so that you can place it back in appropriately. Removing ladders from the apparatus, the procedures are different when the ladders are mounted on the side or on the top of the apparatus in a flat position. To remove mounted ladders, we must unlatch it, lift it off the bracket, and maneuver it into the correct carrying position. We must remove any protective coverings before we do so. All right. To remove ladders stored internally in compartments, we basically just need to open the compartment and pull the ladder out and put it into a proper carrying position. All right. Some of these ladders may require multiple firefighters to carry them. All right. So how are ground ladders mounted on an apparatus? They can be
Storage inside.
in a compartment or on a rack, right? And the next slide is how is it done in our jurisdiction? It's all of those, right? So if we look at the reserve quints, we have the ladder racks. If we look at our engines and most of our newer ladders, they're all in ladder compartments off the tailboard. All right. Carrying ladders safely, some safety considerations. We need to avoid obstructions. We need to maintain our situational awareness of where we're going. We need to lift with our legs, not our back. And we need to continually look and scan for overhead obstructions as well as other people and trip hazards. All right. All right, we're going to use the appropriate number of personnel for the type of carry that we're doing. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 man carries all demonstrated here. We're going to work and communicate as a team, and who is giving the commands?
Firefighter that can see the other firefighter.
Firefighter that can see the rest of the team. All right. We're going to identify one member of the lift team as the leader, and that is going to be the one that can see everyone. We're going to carry the roof ladders with the hooks closed and extension ladders with the dogs locked. We're going to carry ladders with the butt in first to facilitate a transition from ladder carry to ladder raise if needed. So, does that make sense to everybody that if we carry it with the butt in first, we can throw the spurs down and immediately go into a ladder raise as opposed to getting the tips there first and having to spin the ladder around? All right, so somebody want to paraphrase this for me? Read it and then paraphrase it.
If you don't carry it below eye level, you can't see what you're walking into, so you
Yeah.
pose risk on running into something or hurting yourself.
So what this says is, as a single firefighter, if I'm carrying a ladder up here in my line of sight and I can't see, I'm creating a trip hazard for myself or a hazard to hit somebody else with it. With a two-man carry, it shouldn't be an issue because the person at the front of the tips or spurs, the butt spurs, is going to be right there, and that's all going to be behind him, so they have a clear field of view. That ladder's not taken up, or half of that ladder is not taking up their field of view, causing a hazard. All right, what safety guidelines should be followed when carrying ground ladders?
Avoid obstructions.
Avoid obstructions. Continually scan, right? Looking for those obstructions. All right. We're going to use the appropriate amount of people, and we're going to wear our appropriate PPE. We're going to lift with our back. And we're going to lift with our legs, not our back. All right. All right, so with that, we're going to take a 10-minute break. All right, so it is right now 2:12, so back in your seats, ready for the next objective at 2:22.
That's pretty good.
Some snacks there.
Have you seen the Kurds too?
What?
The Kurds too?
Oh my gosh, I'm about screwed up.
Oh, those are great. They're not that hot.
I go with the grapes.
Chad doesn't like pepper.
It's spicy.
You can use some sandals.
How funny would that be? Healthy. Salted beets nuts. Extra fancy.
That's what I don't want to happen. Oh, I didn't know how to do that.
Sometimes they do.
So one thing that can happen when you put fly in with the metal ladders is that fly can start to get extended a little bit, and it will, because the way that it's positioned like this, when the fly's in, it can put a little bit of a bind to it. So if that fly gets extended a little bit, it'll still hold, but it'll unlock your paws, and then the ladder will move a little bit, and it's gonna crash you down. So that's one of the things that can happen, basically, when the fly's in. So.
There'd have to be a, I don't know, get that to happen.
Not necessarily, not as much as what you would
Really?
think, but, I mean, it's still a fair amount.
Yeah.
But no, so according to DO safety, there's a 4% drop in safety is what they say, because of the clearance of the fly in the bed section, the way it moves, when if it has that little bit of line to it. So, but as far as strength and functionality to it, they said there's no drop in strength.
That's the part that's always confused me, is like I just don't see a strength difference in what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I've never thought about this all.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm ninja guy. Hoses and hoses and fire.
Technical pressures.
Can't go wrong with that.
There's only so many that can handle that.
I'm not strong enough. I said you guys need 3 people to carry ladders and carry devices.
They need to jump Station 8.
3 people.
The short guys can do it.
I'm not gonna lie, it's much easier. First on 28, it was hit and miss.
Yeah.
Whether how good I could do it. Now I'm pretty comfortable. 28. Yeah, just single. Yeah, at least gotta have the depth to right on my shoulder a little bit.
A little bit different.
Yeah. I know people that do 35 for themselves, it's ridiculous. Better short.
Back hurts. Just thinking about that.
The 3 section is, it's one of those like, it's nice to know you can do it if you have to,
Yeah.
but it's, like for me, anyways, the 3 section is easier. It's heavy enough and it has enough weight to it, like you gotta have a certain amount of strength. The 2 section, it's just so hard. Yeah, it's a lot of ladder to overcome, and it's one that, like the taller you are, the easier it is because you're higher up when you start to, when that butt spur hits the ground and you start pushing, you are that much higher. It's, yeah, throwing that is
20 foot long.
So,
35.
yeah, it's 20
Better.
foot. Mhm. So,
That's still works.
yeah.
So I'm very tip, like 5 foot towards the end, maybe 15 foot back.
That's a long ladder. So.
Oh,
You got that thing with the dart.
Next, I'm only 5.5 feet tall.
Nice with spice.
Those are a hot fork grind, by the way.
It doesn't like
Heartburn pills may be working.
Really? I'm not eating Tom's like every night before I go to bed.
I go get strep throat.
Acid reflux.
There's me. What I have is Barrett's esophagus. It's the reason what makes it so deadly is guys have acid reflux their whole life. Oh, just eat some time to go to bed. Eat some time to go to bed. Eat some time to go to bed. Well, that's eroding the bottom part of your esophagus. And so then all of a sudden, you present with other symptoms. You go in, get a scope, and you're getting cancer. Luckily, they caught mine first, or quick, and because I puked a bunch of blood up and passed out. And I say luckily, they really was lucky that because I ate tons my whole life.
yeah, they can't be good if you're not.
So anyway, they found 3 spots that they have to biopsy every year.
Really?
So, but what I'm saying is, every guy has, well, most guys have heartburn, so they comes to a bed. They comes to a bed. That's the worst thing you can do is lay down when you have heartburn, because that's coming up and sitting in that bottom part. So,
Eat earlier and earlier now, especially with the baby. She's like 7.
Geez, there's some nights I want to be in bed by 7.
there's some
It's
nights I'm
terrible.
in bed by 8.
I do that occasionally. I'll lay down, read for an hour.
I can only sleep till about 2:30.
Yeah.
Try some.
It started in 1 minute.
Or something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that. I did. Like, if I don't get sleep, I'll sleep about 2 hours. Now, then I'll fall back asleep.
I think that says we got about 35 minutes of battery left. Just left.
Yeah, down to 32, so we'll have to change batteries a little
We'll
bit.
change the battery out when we transition outside.
Perfect.
With that, we will get started again. Are there any questions up until this point before we get started again? Any questions? All right. Objective 4, describe the proper procedure for placing ground ladders. Communicating observations when assigned a task is essential. So if you see anything that needs a ladder or a reason why a ladder is needed, say something. Or if you're given the task to throw a ladder, you see a situation that's unsafe, you communicate that to the team that you're throwing that ladder with or to the person that tasked you to throw that ladder. All right, observe and communicate to crew members and or supervisors. Presence of overhead electrical wires and obstructions, ground conditions, muddy, icy, or any other tripping hazards such as uneven terrain. Building structural integrity, condition of the walls or windows where the ladder will be raised. The appropriateness of chosen ladder length, whether it's an extension ladder or a single ladder, roof ladder, if it's correct for the task. And then the structural features such as the roof, wall height, or presence of overhangs. Factors affecting ground ladder placement. The officer may designate a general location where ladder is to be placed. Personnel that's carrying the ladder must choose and assess the hazards as they go to place that. Decide the safest place to butt and raise that ladder. For example, we need ladders thrown at the Charlie side, right? So if you guys are tasked with throwing ladders on the Charlie side, your command or commander is not telling you exactly which window to place those in, right? It's up to you to choose and decide where those need to be placed and the safest manner in which to place those. The firefighter that's nearest the butt usually makes this decision. So again, if you're a 2-person carry, the person at the butt end is the first one there, and they're choosing to place that based on the hazards and also the task at hand. The 2 firefighters are at the butt. The one on the right side is usually responsible for placement. So if you're doing a 4-man carry, the person that's on the right-hand side is making that determination. Objectives for placing ground ladders: position the ladder properly for its intended use. Again, that